We are building out an entire blueprint from zero to finished. When it's finished, it will look something like this. This is for one of my clients. They do not mind that I'm recording this. It is a one-person content agency. It makes about 200,000 USD a year, 196,000, something around there. It is a 30 video a month offer. It's mainly for local businesses. So he goes in, he films 30 videos a month. He charges $3,000. Some of his clients he charges $5,000, and there's a couple that he charges $2,500. But I'm going to go through everything. We are going to build the main structure. This is what I call the master plan. This is where we attach all of our different systems, processes, and automations to this. But this is going to be a good one. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to speed it up slightly just because it's about 3-ish hours for me to build one of these out. I don't know how long this one's going to take. It's a little bit simpler, so probably about 3 hours on the ball. And if you are following along, I would just say slow the video down a little bit and you will be able to follow this step by step. So the first thing you have to do is collect the data, collect the information, and from there, we are going to be able to build out all these different systems. So I have collected the main components. He gets roughly 16 booked calls a month, and he's able to close 5 of those. And that means he's adding 15,000 in monthly recurring revenue. The average lifetime of the customer is 5.5 months. Overall, he gets roughly 38 leads a month. He gets those through posting on his own social media pages. And then he sends 120 DMs outbound on Instagram. And that books about 4 calls a month just from outbound. So it's split into inbound, which again is roughly 12 calls a month. And then outbound, which is 4 calls a month. And that is how you get the 16 calls a month. 13 people attend those calls, 5 close with a 5.5 month average, which is like 20% churn, 17% churn. And we are going to dive in. The systems that he uses: Instagram, TikTok, CapCut, Canva, Notion, Loom, PandaDoc, Stripe, WhatsApp, Google, Calendly, and Claude. Let's jump into this video. So, starting off, you are going to open Figma and lay down a canvas. The canvas is what we're going to be building on. This is going to allow us to easily scale things throughout the build process. I'm obviously starting with the business blueprint, marking down the main headline. This is a one-person service business. I tried to make it look somewhat aesthetic because most of the customers spend about an hour or more a day inside of here, building out different operations, iterating it, adding new processes, new system, new marketing components, changing their numbers, usually monthly. Some people do it weekly. It really just depends on if you are a software, if you are an e-com store, or if you are a service, on how often you're going to be changing these numbers. We are starting with the main structure. This is an overview. This is what I like doing, just to lay out all of the most important things. Who are the clients? Who are the channels? What is the service that we are actually offering to these people? So now we are starting to reposition absolutely everything because, again, it is easier to do it right the first time than try to do this multiple times over and edit it once I already have everything laid out. So now we are going into the set of spaces. From here, I am really just adding some visual components because I do want these to look very user-friendly. The use of having arrows beside boxes like that, it might not look like much, but having everything connected and you can see where they connect throughout this entire blueprint really does change the way that you use it. You can see all the different components, where they're attached, the tools, the systems, the integrations, everything like that. What I'm doing now is grabbing all of the different app icons so I can drag them later into each of the different sections. We'll have a marketing section, we'll have sales, we'll have onboarding, we're going to add a bunch of different KPI sections and some different customer delivery sections, just because obviously this is a business that is mainly based around client delivery. I mean, 30 videos a month. So you are going into the client's business, restaurant, gym, filming with them, which obviously you have to set that up. You have to have these videos planned before you go into those businesses. And then you have to obviously come up with the scripts, edit, publish, everything like that. But we are filling out the tools and integrations right now. All you have to do for this is you can grab the assets inside of an asset pack, or you can just search for them and grab them off of Google Images. You can drop any of them in. Majority of them you can find in assets, but some of them, if you're using a unique software or service, you will have to add them in. So these are all of the main tools that he uses. These are pretty much every tool that he uses. I think the only one that probably isn't on there is email. I don't really include that because everyone uses email, but I could. So now we are going to start with marketing and growth. This is generally the biggest lever for most of these businesses. And the reason for that is it's the easiest lever to pull. It's quite easy to double your business's income by doubling the amount of views you get. And a lot of times you don't even need to increase the frequency that you're posting, because you can just post better content that has a more likelihood of going viral, or content that is a little more prone to get sales. We have had videos that will get 1 million views and they will only generate $10,000 in sales, and we can have a video that gets 100,000 views and can generate $50,000 in sales. Our customers are the exact same way. Sometimes the small videos that you think are a little bit too niche, are a little bit too tailored, are the ones that do the best for the business. For this client in particular, because it is a one-person business, it's a little bit chaotic having this many customers, because some of them are asking for different ads that they want made for different times. So some of his customers are like, hey, we're running a Black Friday sale. For the 30 videos this month, can we do 10 on some sort of package, whatever they're offering? The restaurant has a deal, the gym has a deal. So he really has a lot of different components that he tries to balance and make sure that the customers are completely fulfilled with across everything that they're doing. This is going to be the attraction. This is the narrative. This is everything to do with the entire business. So from these fields, we are going to start filling these out. Again, one of the most important parts, I'm not sure if I said that at the very start of this video, but I think I did, is collecting all of the data. A lot of the times you won't know the data you need to collect until you start building out these different sections. And you'll build it out and you'll be like, oh, I didn't collect our close rate. I didn't collect our LTV. I didn't collect our numbers for our funnel or our profile visits or our website visitors or anything like that. Once you go in here, a lot of our clients, on the first time they open the blueprint, they will spot 6-7 issues in their business. They're like, I did not know that. And most of the time, it just has to do with increasing conversions, with social media consistency, and showing them the videos that like, hey, look, you posted this video on this day and it generated this much value. If you just create videos that are this style, you will double, triple, quadruple your business. For clients like this, where you're only working with a handful at a time, the biggest lever is going to be price. He can't work with more than probably 10 clients a month. And because of that, his lever really is creating higher quality fulfillment so the customers get better referrals, and then he can sell them into, instead of $3,000 a month, what he currently charges. His last client, I told him to say $5,000, and he did it, and he landed the client. So because he is just bound on how much time he has, his biggest lever is changing the price, increasing the price, and just increasing the value of his service. His goal with this is to get to $500,000 a year. So he's almost halfway there. There are a lot of different things that he can do to pull that lever. He doesn't really want to hire people, but he's on the fence about it because going in and filming and building these relationships takes such a long time, as well as he gets them good results, and he thinks that getting somebody else in there might not be able to get them the equivalent results that he's looking for. So you can see his ideal customer is clinics, restaurants, gyms, $500K to $3 million a year, and free local marketing audit is generally how he gets them. He sends these through Loom. So he will go to a business's social media, he'll make a video on it, he'll create the Loom, and then he will send it through to them. And it will say, hey, here's the videos you should be doing. Here's why you should be doing it for your business. Even better, you don't need to do it. Pay me, and I will come into your business and do it for you. Obviously, you can see his brand voice it's expert, but it's also kind of more of like a grindy, gritty, I'm going to do this for your business. Here's how we're going to do it. Let's get to work. Lots of fulfillment. He says that he speaks with his customers on almost a daily basis. So obviously, you can tell that he has the hustle that it takes. These are the main content pillars that he films for them, and this is where he builds a lot of his content styles off of. So he will go into behind the scenes, and he'll show behind the scenes of the restaurant, behind the scenes of the gym, behind the scenes of a dental clinic, any of that. And then from that, he can show the behind the scenes of certain processes. So to give you an example, behind the scenes of a cavity, behind the scenes of a mouth cleaning, behind the scenes of running a business, behind the scenes of getting more clients for your dental agency, behind the scenes of everything. And he'll go through those main pillars, and from there come up with tons of different ideas. Now, weekly content plan. Again, this isn't going to change much from the pillared content just because everything is built off of those main pillars. Then he has a little content section where he can quickly grab a hook, grab a style, which is one of those pillars, get to filming, and then edit it. And that's how he's able to produce roughly 200 videos a month, which is pretty high. I have talked to a brand creator, only one I've ever seen, UGC style obviously, that is able to make 500 videos a month. That's the highest I've ever seen one person be able to produce. It is an absolute Goliath task, mainly because of coming up with the ideas and editing. But if you're somebody that is killer at UGC, there are apps that will hire you to just make videos over and over and over. And some of these people are making 30 videos a day, and they have no problem doing it. And because of that, they make an absolute wicked income due to the efficiency of creating content. Now, this is finishing up the weekly content plan. A lot of the times, your pillars depend on the type of business. So for a gym, the educational content rocks because there's so many clients that are going to see how to do proper exercises with proper form, and they're going to be like, that is for me. And obviously, with something that's a little bit more luxurious, you can't really do the behind the scenes stuff as much, just because they just don't want their brand to be seen in that light. They want it to be perceived as extremely high value, extremely luxurious. They really don't want that much behind the scenes. They want it to be all fit, polished, done, all the videos to look a certain way. So a lot of this stuff does depend on the clients, and that's kind of why these pillars, they vary a little bit, but I would say that's kind of the key, is being able to work with your clients. Essentially, with these agencies, content specifically, the best thing is to have a little bit of a menu so they can come in, they can be like, we want this style, we want it to look like this, we want this brand voice, we want this, and then packages. People get a little bit carried away with the packages, where some brands like, I want 10 videos a month. Some brands like, I want 30 videos a month. Some brands, I want 50 videos a month. Ideally, you stick to one kind of strict operations, which is everybody gets 30 videos a month. Here's the price. So then you really just know what to do every single day. And it doesn't change your schedule around too much. I am somebody that is absolutely notorious for that. I do the same thing almost every single day. And because of that, you get extremely efficient at doing different things. Really, I feel like that's the best way to do it. I know some people like doing different work every single day. They find it a little bit more interesting. But for me, there's just no efficiency in that. I am also a demon in here. I absolutely love working currently at the moment. I am spending way too much time on my screen time. In particular, let me show you my screen time actually, because the tech stack stuff is really just dropping it all in. Okay, so my weekly screen time, should we just go through the weeks? Weekly screen time 1. This is 4 weeks ago. 16 hours a day. Oh, that's this week. Last week, almost 17 hours a day. The week before, 15 hours a day. And the week before that, 16 and a half hours every single day. And I am somebody that praises efficiency and getting stuff done quick, making sure that you are not wasting time. A lot of the people that I get on the phone with, I'm like, how many hours do you work a day? They're like 12, but they're like, I could probably do the work that I'm doing in 4 hours. I just don't know what to work on, and I don't know how to just put my head down and get through all of the work. And that's why they're building blueprints like this. They want to know what they need to do every single day. They want to walk in, sit at their desk, task today, content. Okay, grab a hook, grab a title, grab a thumbnail, boom. Let's look at the trending videos. What videos did the best last week? Okay, let's remake that video. Let's change the hook and let's change the topic. And it lets them rapidly iterate through tons of different content as well as not wasting time. Same thing with distribution and everything like that. When I went through this business and we actually got his numbers, again, 2,800 profile visits a month, 38 leads leading to 12 calls, and outbound 120 DMs leading to 4 calls. I said, how many DMs are you sending? He's like, once a week, I'll sit down and I'll send 30 DMs. And seeing that booked him 4 calls, obviously he has good content on his profile. He was immediately like, oh, like when I'm waiting for my car to get an oil change, or when I am on the treadmill at the gym, or I'm on a walk, I should just be sending DMs because it's super high leverage for him because the profile is so good. Same with inbound. He says his inbound leads are the easiest to close because they're clicking on his profile, they see everything, and then they message him saying, hey, we are in your area and we want to get some content done by you. That's another thing. He makes 22 pieces of content a month for himself on average. It all depends on client work, but that's another thing where he's like, oh, like if I double my content, I should be able to double my income. But again, the biggest thing with him is too much work, not enough people. So he is going to drastically change his prices. You can see all of the intricate details here. Audit requests are calls on Loom videos. Usually it's a Loom video that leads to them getting on a call. And you can see average reel gets 4,200 views, which is pretty good. 2,800 profile visits a month is, it's a bit low. Now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking that might be website. I think it was portfolio visits. I'll have to go back in. This is another good thing about when you build these is you just get a complete oversight. Like me spotting that, like, that seems a little bit low for profile visits. It might have been portfolio. When I'm building these, usually what I do, build the entire thing out, Then go into a call process where I'll jump on a call. We'll go through all of the details of the business. I have them all written down. They go through and confirm everything, make some final iterations, and then that is when we start building out the little system. So if you guys don't know, we build out content, funnels, lead form, sales flow, different ways to make ads, KPIs, structures, pretty much everything that surrounds these blueprints, which is all of the actual processes. So it's grab a landing page, grab this style landing page. What landing page did the best for us in the last 6 months? Was it because of this? And it's just a complete layout of the process, and that is what gets automated or delegated if it is unable to be automated. I'll show you some of those when we are done building this blueprint. This is essentially everything from the discovery calls. So he never had any of this written down, and he would just jump on a call and just close them. He really didn't have any kind of system for booking. He has Calendly, so it automatically sends them an SMS and email when it is captured saying, hey, remember, you have a call at this point. And he does send them a Loom video prior. But having a little bit of a positioning, a little bit of a structure to these calls where he's able to ask them more about pain points and the reason that they're looking for his service, and pitching it as more of, hey, here's how I can help you, is kind of where we came to the conclusion. And that's when we started building out a little bit more of these flows. He really didn't have anything for this. So I kind of took a lot of best practices that I have seen and I have used. We worked through his best practices, and that's kind of how we started building out these call flows. Client walkthroughs is also really good when you are inside of one of these blueprints. But you can now kind of see that a lot of this is really just picking component by component. You start with the departments, all the different departments. Then you go to each of the individual sections, which is generally comprised of what, when, how, like what is the task that we're doing? When are we doing this task? Is it every week? Is it every day? Is it something that happens every month? Or is it just random? Is it a task that you only have to do when a new client comes in, like onboarding? All of those different things, mapping them out. So you open this up, boom, let's start with this package. Let's start with this package. Okay, you're onboarded. Here you go. Here's your onboarding documents. Here's everything through the entire process. Offer structure. This is where things have been changing a little bit lately, just due to the fact that now his inbound outbound system is completely dialed. He is going to be getting a lot more calls booked for his business. This is the new one. So Authority, $5,000 a month. His starter one, the $2,000 a month, has been phased out as of the last few weeks. It just got super sunny, so let's hope my camera doesn't get too blown out. Now we are finishing just the spacing of this. Another thing that we implemented was the no discounting. He was discounting a little bit, not too frequently, but enough to where it was just like, okay, there's no need. You have enough clients and you can land as many clients as you want. If anything, you should be increasing your prices, not discounting them. But he says to get the close, oftentimes he'd be like, okay, well, you know what? I'll do it for $2,500 a month when it was the growth package, which is $3,000 a month. Pre-qualify, this all happens in the Instagram DMs, budget, timeline, decision maker. Obviously, we want to make sure that he isn't spending any time talking to people who can't make the decision or have to go speak to a board of directors or anything like that, because at the end of the day, that is just going to be the biggest waste of time. All right, KPI and metrics. This is the important part. I have to change all these numbers. In the meantime, one of the highest ROIs I've had recently is buying a speaker, throwing it on my cabinet, and playing audiobooks all day. I have been able to consume so many more audiobooks, and what I do is I will replay them over and over sometimes. So some of the audiobooks, like the really good ones, like any, Alex Hormozy book or something like that, I've probably listened to like 5 times because I'll play it in the background. It forces me to consume it, and I'll be listening to it, or I'll kind of be like phased in the back of my mind, and then I'll hear something and be like, boom, that's what we need. So oftentimes I do listen to the books multiple times. I'm also known for grabbing the book and actually reading it while listening to it. So I'm just like following along like a movie. Because once I spend 16 hours on my grind, usually I need a little bit of time to settle down. But luckily, I don't really like sleeping, so that kind of works out well. Okay, this is the important stuff. Outbound, inbound, discovery calls a month. New MRR added $15,000 a month. Revenue for a call is such a cool metric. He never seen that until we went into it, and he's like, holy, I am getting paid $1,000 for every one of these calls that I jump on. And referral close rate, you can see how much higher it is than a follow-up close rate. Referrals close the highest. And the best way to get referrals, offer a great service, give your clients great results, and have constant communication. One thing with agencies and people, this is an agency, but it's offered as, it's kind of an agency service, not messaging the clients enough. You want the clients to borderline feel bombarded with your presence, where you're sending them, here's an update, here's how this video did, here's how this video did. So they constantly feel like they're in the loop with you. A lot of the people that I've worked with, that I had shorter terms with, would be, I would hire them, they wouldn't message me that often, I wouldn't really know what's happening, I'd feel out of the loop, and then usually after a few months, we would end up just dropping them, where the clients and agencies who are constantly messaging, keeping us in the loop, keeping us up to date, hey, what can we work on next? Here, how can we fix this? Kind of everything like that. We have been able to build very long-lasting relationships with. Onboarding for services is a very important part. Right after somebody buys, sometimes they feel a little bit of hesitation. They'll be like, oh, well. So if you can hit them with immediate, hey, here's first step 1, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to be in next week, and we're going to start the filming process for him. Super, super great. Another thing that he does, I don't include it in this because it's not a part of his process, but if the business is close and he's in the area, he will drive over and stop in. So after their call, when usually they're like, hey, give us a week or two, he'll stop in and be like, hey, I was just in the area. I wanted to see if you guys were doing it. I wanted to see what the business looks like. Feel free to reach out next week once you've made your decision on if you want to work with me or not. This is the onboarding process. He also did not have this mapped out. This is the structure of it. We do have a process for this entire thing, which is attached to this blueprint on the bottom of it. But invoice gets sent via Stripe. Once they send it, then they get everything. So then they get their contract. He uses PandaDoc, and they get a welcome message in WhatsApp. That's where he keeps all of his communications. I personally like WhatsApp better than email as well because it's faster. Then you get your intake form, which is your brand guidelines, your preferences, your filming, logistics, timing, date. What time do you want him to come in at? What are your goals with the content? Some people want to go viral. Some people just want those really informative educational videos because they're going to put a little bit of ad spend behind them, and that is going to lead them to landing some high ticket clients for themselves. All right, kickoff call and agenda. All I'm doing here is copying and pasting the structure just so I do not have to do it over and over again. Once you build it once, you can just grab it, boom, move it over to the next section. As we go through this, if you want to skip this entire process and just grab one of these blueprints and edit them for yourself, we have an entire structure of all the blueprints, all the different systems, all of the frameworks, processes inside of the business blueprint section, which is a premium version of our school. So we have everything built out in there. Instead of spending, this one took me 2 hours and 57 minutes. For you guys, it would probably take, maybe, if you've never used Figma and you've never collected your data, the master plan here will probably take you anywhere from maybe 12 to 16 hours. And then the rest of the systems and processes will probably take another maybe 30 to 40 hours, depending on how well you want to map out everything inside of your business. So if you want to skip that entire process, it is in the link below. Now we are going into client communication rhythm. This is really one of the important things that I mentioned, which is keeping in touch with the client, staying in contact, making sure you are messaging them on a frequently. Just make sure you're messaging them frequently, whether it's a weekly, whether it's every few days. I think you can get away with weekly depending on the type of business, but you also don't want to be too much of a pain. Usually I put them in a group chat, and what I'll do is I'll tell them to put the group chat on mute, and I'll say, hey, I'm just going to send updates in here. Do not field, and you can respond if you want, but you do not need to. And you can just see everything that's happening, and it keeps them it just keeps them happy because they see, oh, website visitors went up. Oh, traffic went up. Oh, everything here went up. It's a good way to communicate with them. Okay, the tech stack for this section. Building testimonial requests. Another huge thing that everybody misses out on. Because it feels awkward, it's hard for some people to do. I know my camera is going to be blown out because of how bright it is right now. Asking your clients for testimonials and collecting high quality testimonial videos is probably one of the simplest things you can do to increase your conversion rate. CRO, like conversion rate optimization, is a very hard thing for businesses to do. And the biggest lever for it is having testimonials, especially high quality testimonials that essentially work in your favor. Because usually in testimonial videos, a client will say you get for him, it's a restaurant. Restaurant makes you a testimonial video. Throw it on your landing page. Then when another restaurant sees it and they see the results, they're almost instantly going to buy. And those are things that you might miss on your landing page or on your VSL or in your content. You might not mention that you work with restaurants, but once they see that testimonial with the results, huge game changer in your conversion rate optimization. Client results, wins. This is everything. This is the standard. Obviously, if a video do well, it pops off, goes viral, kind of gets that huge boost. Take a screenshot, send it to them. Everything to do with monthly reporting. A lot of this is standardized where it's, hey, monthly visitors, monthly views, profile clicks, depending on what style you're doing with them. For him, it's just short form content. So it's pretty much just the analytics dashboard in Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and I think he does YouTube Shorts for some of them. Using a content poster, so he can batch all these content, film them in one day, sometimes 2 days, really just films them all, edits them all, puts them in a scheduling system so then he can work on the next client. Referral ask is something that's huge. He never had that before. I mentioned, hey, how do you get referrals? He goes, well, I don't really know. And I'm like, well, you should ask your client. Say, hey, I have a spot for a new client this month. Do you know anybody that would be interested? But a lot of the times, if the client is happy enough, they will do it on their own. But sometimes people like to keep their skills a secret. If they're like, oh, I have this guy and he's killing it for me, they don't really want to spread you out because they'll think you spend less time on their business. But sometimes when you ask them, it'll push them over the edge, and they're like, you know what, you've done such a good job. I'm going to introduce you to my friend who owns this type of business. $5.5 month LTV is pretty, honestly, it's pretty high. Agencies notoriously run low. I mean, maybe it's about standard, but considering there's such little clients, like he says he loses about one client a month, and a lot of the times at this price point, once you get upwards $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, it's because they'll bring somebody in-house. So they'll replace you with a full-time hire that can work 40 hours a week for them. That doesn't happen too often, but that is something that can be a factor. Honestly, a lot of the times though, when you're running a successful agency like this, he's pretty happy when that would happen, just because then he can replace them with a client that's going to pay more. So if he loses a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 client, he's replacing them with a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 client. This is how he shows the clients the ROI. Each one of them sell a different price point, but he's able to be like, hey, generally, 210,000 views for a local restaurant gets them 47 more bookings, which equals about $8,000, and they pay him $2,000. So communicating your value, super important, because a lot of the times they won't know exactly what's happening behind the scenes. They won't really be able to be like, okay, I see you got 210,000 views, but what does that end up being for my business? Is that just people seeing it? Like, I see the followers go up, but what does that impact on revenue? And because it's hard to track, if they click on the link in the bio, if you use a booking platform, then you can see how many booking came through that link. But if they're just seeing it, they're like, oh, they see your content over and over. They're like, oh, I want Italian tonight. What's that restaurant called? Oh, yeah, it's called blank, blank, blank. Go to Google, search it up, and book the reservation through there. The reason they booked the reservation is because they seen your social media posts. They thought it was a very good restaurant, but you will not be credited for it. So if you can come up with a little bit of an attribution system, you will be able to keep clients longer, and you can get higher paying clients, because they can see the value that you have brought to them. Weekly production schedule. As you can see, capacity, 8 clients a month due to the 20 hours a month of client work, which is the grand total. From here, we are going to add in another column for some time commitments. Prior to this, there was just confusion across the entire business. Essentially, he would just try to film as much as he could, kind of edit whenever he had time. Usually, he was editing right before the videos were getting posted. Really wasn't much structure inside of it. We went through and built out a little bit of a daily system. So Monday's script writing, which is batching all of the scripts for the clients. Tuesday, filming day. These are different client sessions. Again, some of them he only goes in 2 times a week or 2 times a month. Sometimes it's 1 time a month. And then there's other times where it could be weekly, depending on what type of client it is. Because of the planning at the start, he says you're going in a little bit more often. For example, they want to run a certain promotion. Well, if they didn't plan that at least 6 weeks ahead, that means he wouldn't have had time to do the script for it. So oftentimes he can be popping in just to film 2 or 3 videos for the business to post for some sort of promotion. Now we are back into the tech stack with the new addition, which is Claude. Claude it's become very prominent in a lot of businesses. It was ChatGPT for a little while, but Claude seems to have taken the cake across the board, mainly for the ability to just structure things out, kind of help with copy. It seems to be a little bit better at coming up with scripts and copywriting than GPT previously was. Production workflow, this was something that we did turn into a system for him, entire process. Pre-production, talk to the client, pick the theme, pick whatever products they want to promote, whatever services, whatever offer, promotion, filming schedule, confirm with client, make sure they're going to be there that day, and make sure everything is ready. Like if they're filming it on a gym, generally they want the gym cleaned. If filming it on a restaurant, they will not be doing it on a weekend when they're absolutely jammed. They'll do it on a Monday when they're closed, just because it flows best with the business. Now, all the raw footage is getting organized, the clips that they want to use, the clips that they don't want to use. With this, being efficient with his filming process, so he isn't filming 3 hours of content and turning that into 30 reels. He is filming 30 minutes of content and turning that into 30 reels. And that all comes from having really good scripts and having really planned out processes for video 1, video 2, video 3, video 4, video 5, going through all of the different videos. Batching everything is essential to anything at scale, because if you are editing one video a day and posting manually, you will never be able to take on this many clients and have this level of quality. Taking calls on Tuesdays is sacred because it's a film day. Previously, clients would be like, oh, I'm free on Tuesday. Can we do a call? And he would have a tendency to jump into those calls. So having this kind of strict schedule, they have an open Calendly on WhatsApp. So if they do want to jump on a call with them, or they just call a cell phone and they just kind of know that Tuesdays are the sacred day. We are back into the most important part, KPIs and metrics on top of this entire process. He has previously had 11 clients at once, and it was far too many. Although he was making a lot of money, he was working every single day, nonstop, like a madman, and figured that 8 is the ideal where he can work regular work weeks. Again, he still makes $200,000 a year. Work regular work weeks, and as he starts to increase the price, the quality of those customers will increase as well. So for him to hit that lucky $500,000 a year, we're going to have to double prices and create a couple little upsell / add-ons, which a lot of them don't take up too much time, but we'll add on an extra $1,500, $2,500 a month to some of these clients. And it's services that they're already paying other people for. So if you can take them in and you can systemize them, it is a very good way to increase the lifetime value of a customer. Finances, monthly revenue for Target is $18,000, and currently it is 16. KPIs, MRR, average deal 3,000, 6 active clients, net margin of 90%. That average deal price is going up next month. So we are running it from there, and then this will all be changed in about 30 days. The hardest part of building these is the first one, adding these numbers, and by the end of it, what you can do is pull these numbers out of your business in about 10 minutes and update this in about another 15 minutes. So it takes you 30 minutes a month to keep all of your KPIs in act. And from there, you can really start to push your scaling operations. Changing the dashboard. Okay, so financial workflow. We have the money in and the money out. With service businesses like this, luckily there is not many expenditures. You can see 3 clients at $3,000 a month, 2 clients at $2,000 a month, and 1 client at that $5,000 a month. The goal is to phase out both of those $2,000 a month clients, where we will either message them saying, hey, due to how many clients I have messaging me, we either need to increase your prices, and then if you do that and you lose them, honestly, it's probably a good thing, so we can get some higher monthly clients inside. One question that people help me with, which kind of related to this, is how do you know what to charge them, first of all, and then how do you know when you're charging them too much? If you are doing quality work, this number can go up and up and up. There are short form agencies that create 30 videos a month that are charging $100,000 a month for massive businesses, financial companies, banks, everything like that. And that number can even go higher than that. It's really comes down to distribution and how they're utilizing the content. If the content's well done, it will perform great organically. And if the content is also well done, it will perform great on ads. And depending on the scale of their business, if they're making enough creatives to fill their meta ad library so they can hit their monthly ad spend, all things that come into play, as well as how bad they need it. If a client is spending and spending and spending in meta and they're really killing it, well, their creatives are fatiguing fast, which means they need content ASAP, and they will be willing to pay whatever you tell them. Starter clients, you can see this is where things kind of started to change, where we're like, okay, what do you want to be doing for these clients, and what's the most efficient way? You know, picking things, 12 videos a month, it's like, okay, well, technically it's a pretty good way to spend time, but switching in between different clients, opening up different accounts, different profiles, different portfolios, different files and folders is a very time-consuming task. It is super bright all of a sudden. This is Toronto weather for you all. This is the main city in Canada, and this is what happens with the sun. It'll be extremely bright, then a cloud will come, and it will not be, and then it will be extremely bright again. Also, in the wintertime, it tends to be the brightest just because of the snow reflecting. Okay, financial rhythm. Update revenue tracker in Notion, takes 5 minutes. Profit allocation, 50% he takes to his salary, and then he puts away 25% for taxes, 15% for reinvesting into the business, which is not even being hit yet because expenditures are so low, and then doing full P&L reviews, everything like that is a part of his new plan, because previously he would just make videos, DM clients, and he would go film with them, and that was it. There was no structure to anything more than a notebook saying, tomorrow go film with XXX and film 10 videos. Stripe auto pay for the reoccurring, very important. Instead of sending out manual invoices over and over where you're trying to get checks from clients and then they're out of town, and the next thing you know, you end up falling a week behind, and then that falls another week behind, and then you miss out on a full 1 or 2 pay periods in the entire year. Late payment policy. There was nothing implemented for this. Kind of dragging everything on. Obviously, if it's a client you've been working with for a while, you will have no problem saying, all right, just make sure you get it paid as soon as possible. But for newer clients and things like that, due to the high churn rate of industries, a lot of the time they won't pay you. You'll be a month behind, 2 months behind, and then they'll be like, oh, I'm going to pay you at the end of next month. For that, we just wanted to pause content delivery. So just stop the process before it gets too bad, because once they have hundreds of videos made and haven't paid you, there's a chance that they won't be good on their end. Also, things happen in business. Businesses go bankrupt. Things happen. Maybe they had issues at home and something happens with the payment. It's not always, due to just the business being bad. These are the metrics, a little bit of expenses in here. Luckily, he doesn't count himself as an expense because he takes most of the income. So he has no employee expenses. He doesn't have to deal with all of the employee benefits, CPP, EPI, everything like that. Depending where you live, Canada, the States, overseas, the taxes that you pay when you have employees varies dramatically. Churned MRR. This is where he's losing that customer. So he has 6 customers, loses 1 a month. But with this new thing, we have figured that he is able to close 5 calls a month. And I have a feeling very quickly he's either going to dramatically increase his prices, or what he is going to do is take on more clients, because he does have the ability to close them. As we went through his entire numbers, he has the ability to land more, but he has no ability to take more clients on. This also has been rebooted for the new year. Last year he did very well. This year he wants to take this business a lot more seriously, have structure, have systems, set up some automations, and that is why this entire process is getting done. This is his kind of operating system. He is everything. Marketer, salesperson, filmmaker, editor, strategist, CFO. He has to protect his energy very much. And losing a client sometimes will take a little bit of a hit, because he'd be like, oh, well, why did they leave? Like, they were doing good. The videos were doing well. And again, sometimes that is not because of you. It's just outsourced. Something outside of it. Maybe they have, their kid graduated school or something and they're coming in to fulfill that position. And you're obviously going to be like, all right, I completely understand. Capacity. This is where he is comfortable. That's what he has right now. But again, those $2,000 a month clients need to be phased out. Those $3,000 a month clients need to be phased out. And 8 is the dry cap for himself. This is built out for this, but we will build out another one if he ends up hiring somebody, so then we can grab sections of this business and delegate it to them. And then he can grab sections and delegate it to himself. And that's when this will switch to a 2-person blueprint, where things can start to be split up between the team. Ideal weekly schedule. This is what we built a lot of the metrics that we want to hit off of. Again, not him spending too much time in the weeds working on things that he doesn't enjoy, which some of the clients that he films with, although they do really good, just not the style that he likes. So that has been added to our list, although not reflected on the blueprint, just because it really isn't essential to the business, whether you like working with restaurants or gyms better. But that is something that is in the plan. So Thursdays, sales calls, outreach, making time for this. This is super important, because although he is almost at capacity, he currently is at capacity, but this video was filmed yesterday or 2 days ago. And he has now seen this and made a lot of actionable changes because this blueprint has been delivered to him. We have started to make it a Monday to Friday thing, trying not to go in on weekends, because the truth is restaurants are busy on weekends anyway, so it doesn't really work well with them. Working with them throughout the week is the best time. Time allocation by function. What we came up with was time is essentially equal to money. So for example, he could spend 20 hours filming content for himself, or he could pay an agency $1,000 to reach out to clients on his behalf. And the question is a lot of capital in. How can we use a little bit of that capital to free up his time so he can do more valuable tasks? That is another process that we built out, which is based on ROI. It's maximizing return on investment due to delegating or eliminating the tasks that take a lot of time that don't generate revenue, and him focusing on the tasks that generate revenue. A lot of those tasks we're able to eliminate completely. They were deemed essential, but in their grand reality, they were not essential at all, because we could just replace them or we could skip that step because it was just adding on time that wasn't needed. And a lot of that we found through going through the processes individually, kind of like what this is. This is the entire master plan. Everything, who, what, when. And then the final steps is the how, which is where the processes, systems, automations come down, where it's bit by bit by bit by bit, every single step through the entire process. Here's how we do it. Here's what happens. Here's what it looks like. Here's how we can swap things out. Building a bulletproof business is one of the most important things to these people. So we will get to a point where they'll have backup Meta Ads account in case their ad account gets banned or something. We'll have backup Instagram accounts in case their Instagram account gets, again, eliminated. We've had, for no reason, we've heard stories about people with businesses will just wake up and one of their accounts will be gone and they won't know where it went. And that's just the reality of working with systems and technology and things like that. Things can go wrong. Could just be a bot error in the system. So having new pixels trained where we can quickly drop them in, having other accounts that are already posting and building it up that we can quickly swap it in if we need to, for multiple parts of the business, so that nothing ever pauses and comes to a halt. Same thing with payment processors. You have a backup payment processor, so something goes wrong, boom, switch this one in, there we go. Because those payment processors, sometimes they will go down for a day or 2 days randomly, whether they get attacked or hacked or something like that. So having the ability to switch in other different components, super, super, super important. Once this blueprint is completely built, all of those different icons that you see, software, tech pack, across the entire blueprint, we can link different things inside of those. So you can click on it, click on the Canva one, it will open up your Canva project. Click on the WhatsApp one, it can open up your WhatsApp. Click up the Stripe one, it can open up your Stripe. So you can just have everything in one complete dashboard, and you have no issue of forgetting any of the systems, processes, tech, or tools. So if you want to cancel one and move to a new one, you won't forget about it, or you keep getting those monthly charges, or it's just a complete waste of cash. KPIs and metrics. Again, this is at the bottom of every section, so you can quickly open it up, go through all the KPIs, go through all your numbers, everything to do with your system, and then from there you can make very informed decisions. All right, as we enter into the final KPI section, hopefully you guys have been able to follow along with some sort of structure. Really, you're going to start out with mapping your entire process. Map out your business, the what, the when, the how. From there, you are going to be able to place certain components into this master structure. From here, what you do is you build out all of the systems, all of the processes, and all of the different automations. If you have seen on my channel, I have all those different pages with the flowcharts, or on the video library, all the different sections where there's wheels that have different content ideas for content systems. There are different graphs that have areas for coming up with scripts, hooks, templates. There are more funnels for spider webbing out into social media, growth, everything to do with that. So the final steps here, really just going through some alignment, attaching everything. But that is the entire process of the video. So this was a fun thing to do. The screen recording time was 3 hours total, so it didn't take too long. But this is one of the most critical things that I do, and has absolutely changed my business and tons of other people's businesses. Creating efficiency is probably one of the most important things. And a lot of them, when they look at it, they're like, wow, this is a lot to take in. And reality is that's what's living in your head right now. All of these little systems that you do and how you come up with hooks and your brand guide and your style guide and you use blue and you use this certain font, all of that lives in your head. Once you have these, you have everything on a piece of paper. You can clear your mind free and you can start looking at things a little bit more objectively. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I have all of my pre-made blueprints and systems, which is everything for one-person businesses, two-person businesses, multiple person businesses, some from the founder perspective if they have a team, and some from the team perspective if you kind of just want to build one out. Send it to your team member, say, hey, you are in the marketing department, here's all of your different roles, here's the softwares that you use, whether you get them to mark it down or you mark it down and you are handing off that position. There's different ways to go about all of that, but hopefully you like this video. If you have any questions, leave them down below and I will be sure to get back to them as quick as I possibly can.